Please welcome partner from RSM, Michael Romano.
Good morning, Dean. Thank you.
Good morning, Michael. The floor is yours.
Just want to make sure my videos work okay. Good morning, and thank you, and good morning, everyone. My name is Michael Romano, and I am a partner with RSM. And for those of you who may not know, RSM is a national CPA audit, tax, and consultancy firm working with early stage through mid-market size companies. And one of the many hats that I wear with the firm is also the life science leader for the firm for the greater Philadelphia area. And in that role, I'm really pleased and benefited to work with some really talented early stage entrepreneurs and early stage companies like the ones that we're going to hear from this morning. And with that, I'd like to turn to and introduce our first presenter. Her name is Dawn Gulick. She is founder and CEO of Therapeutic Articulations. They are a PACT and Ben Franklin Technology Partners Mentor Connect company. And I do believe she may have some exciting news that she'll want to share with you along with her presentation, but certainly won't steal her thunder. And I'll just turn it right over to you, Dawn.
Thank you very much. I'm going to share my screen here. I think you need to, there we go. So good morning, folks. Thank you very much for your participation today. And I'd like to echo Dean's comments on the Mentor Connect program and how valuable that is to early startups. So as Michael said, my name is Dawn Gulick. I'm the founder and CEO of Therapeutic Articulations. And there we go. I have a kind of eclectic background, but this entrepreneurial experience has been very exciting for me. And our problem that we identified a few years ago is this inability to quantify joint mobility. Many of you may either have experienced or know someone who's experienced an ACL injury, a ligamentous injury of the knee that involves some instability. And so that picture in the middle indicates the technique that's used to actually assess the stability of the ACL. It's called a Lachman's test, actually developed right here in Philadelphia. Long story short, it's a way to translate the lower extremity on the lower part of the leg on the upper part of the leg, tibia on the femur. This is a very subjective assessment. And as a person who's been in orthopedics for about 30 years, it troubled me that we didn't have a quantifiable way to assess this. It just seems like wiggling a joint to see if it's loose. It seems to not be consistent with the precision that's associated with the arena of orthopedics. So the current practice was to use one of these devices, all of which are very cumbersome, require a lot of setup time, and are very expensive, and quite frankly, haven't proven well in the market with respect to the reliability. So we set out to try to fix that problem. We went through a number of phases, and as you can see, our development has been refined considerably over the past few years to the phase 4 and now moving into the phase 5 of our marketable device. What we learned through the phase 1 Science Foundation customer discovery process was that we really had two markets. The knee market was much bigger than those of other joints. And so we sought to accommodate that market by developing a knee kit and a deluxe kit. And as a result, the knee kit weighs about 13 ounces. It's portable, rechargeable, and it is very affordable. So my tagline for the Mobil-Aider is exactly that. It's a versatile, portable, and affordable device. We did our pre-market or early market launch last year at this price point, and we're getting feedback on that as we move forward. The very interesting process or point about this device is that it has a very rapid return on investment. The comments and our consultation with IBX executives have determined that the 97750 code is reimbursable at about $35 per test. And so for any orthopedic practitioner, they're seeing multiple knees a day, and this is going to allow them to recover their investment very quickly. This has been deemed a Class 1 exempt device, so we have achieved FDA approval. The deluxe device has 7 attachments, 5 joints over 14 motions. So it allows us to apply the same quantitative assessment to other joints besides just the knee. This pre-market launch price was at $14.99. So in essence, what we have is one tool that accomplishes 2 tasks: an ability to quantify joint laxity in the case of an injury, and the ability to quantify joint mobility as we're rehabbing a joint to have serial measurements of that joint status. No device is of any value to any clinician without reliability and validity measures. And we've achieved that through various studies. So all of our studies to date have been bench studies. We're in the process of doing clinical studies right now, but I don't have those results yet. The validity for the device at this point, it was very interesting. We did some radiographs here, and our measures of the anterior translation of the knee on the radiograph bared a 6.96 millimeter translation, and our measurement on the screen of the Mobil-Aider was 7.1. So we had a 2% margin of error, and we have found that to be very acceptable in the medical community. To date, we've had 3 peer-reviewed publications, and there is 1 in review right now. So our sales channels, we have a market that's very interesting. We have key opinion leaders who have said that the device to quantify knee laxity would have great value in the practice of ACL management. For the Deluxe Kit, the market's a little bit different, more of an academic teaching tool, clinical assessment and treatment. Our sales channels are looking to be distributors, conferences. I also have developed a mobile app that has had over 160,000 downloads worldwide. And so we're actually incorporating the use of the device in that app to get some more exposure. We've already begun to chum the waters with social media and our website presence. I've signed with 2 distributors to date, and I have 2 others that are pending, one of which is a French company that has a device that is similar to ours, but is interested in expanding their market with our device, which is smaller and more versatile. Our revenue, as you know, can be challenging to assess. From a top-down analysis, looking at 1% of the orthopedic community adopting the device puts us at over 1.3 million annually. If we look at using a comparable device, a handheld dynamometer that allows us to quantify the measures of strength, the market looks even bigger. Our issue, though, our competition is not other devices. It's actually a change of behavior. We need people to actually embrace the idea of quantifying a test as opposed to just relying on their subjective assessment, knowing that we can't assess millimeters of motion reliably with our hands. So a device is very valuable in that perspective. I've been fortunate to have been successful in the fundraising arena. I have written 18 grants since January of 2017, and I've been fortunate enough to have been awarded 14 of them to the tune of 1.2 million. I have 50,000 pending in another grant that is due to be submitted on May 1st. So National Science Foundation and Ben Franklin have been key members of this, and I would not be where I am right now without them. So my team is wonderful. They've been a great group. Their images and accomplishments are all here, but they again have led to this success. My ask is unique. It's not money. Most people need money to bring their business forward. I'm doing fairly well with that. I need people. I'm looking for 2 people at this time. I'm looking for a part-time project manager, initially for the first 6 months, help me transition to a full-time position with potential for equity, to fill a void that I don't have in terms of my business experience and some connections with the orthopedic and surgical communities. And then I have funding through the National Science Foundation to bring on a postdoc fellow. This could be in engineering, in programming, or in management. And the salary there is quite healthy. It's a $75,000 funding through the National Science Foundation Phase 2 SBIR supplement. So those are my asks, and I thank you for your time. My contact information on my website are here. And Michael, I'll turn it over to you if there's any questions.
Yeah, thank you, Dawn. That was very interesting. I appreciate you spending the time taking us through that. I do not see any questions, but I actually have a question just for clarity for everyone who's listening in. For the project manager role, is that someone you think would be like from a healthcare background? Does it matter? Like just looking for a little bit more clarification on sort of, obviously there are lots of different types of project management roles. What might be helpful to you?
Yes, then thank you. I appreciate that opportunity to clarify. I'm looking for someone who can create that bridge for me to get to the orthopedic practitioners, to perhaps get to some residency programs, to begin, adopting the device in that training mode, and also to assist in some of the clinical data collection that we're doing right now. Not to actually collect the data, but to establish some connections for people to do that. So I have 3 sites collecting data right now, but it's been rather slow, and certainly we've been shut down right now with moving forward with that. But as soon as things open up, we'd be looking to resume all of that, and those connections would be very helpful.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So no further questions, and thank you very much, Dawn. Just want to keep moving along to make sure we don't run out of time. I'd like to introduce our next presenter. Adam Salamon is co-founder and CEO of Pression, and Pression is also a Mentor Connect company. And Adam, take it away.
All right, thank you very much. Let me get my screen up here. There we go. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity to pitch here. Thank you, Dean, for the opportunity to do this. And thanks to Jen Cohen, who runs the Mentor Connect program. Mentor Connect has been a fantastic resource for me. The mentors have been amazing, and connecting with other companies and other founders like Dawn has been great. You can see Dawn's success in raising grant money. I hope to be nearly as successful as she is, and it's great to be able to talk to someone who has the same experience. So let me jump right in here. So I'm, as Mike said, I'm Adam Salamon, co-founder and CEO of Pression. We're a human performance technology company, initially focusing on the 10 million athletes in the US who every year spend about $10 billion on gear, clothes, software, and services to help improve their performance on the field and off. And that's across the spectrum of professionals all the way through the weekend warriors who run just for fun. At our core, though, we are a blood flow augmentation technology company. That's what we do, and that's how we service the needs of our customers. And so I always like to start with this question of what more could the human body do with increased blood flow? And it really depends upon the frame of reference that you're taking when you're doing it. If you're an athlete, blood flow is how you fuel your muscles. This is how you power your endurance. This is how you improve performance. You can extend your time in play, reduce your risk of injury. It's something that people don't necessarily think of, but the more tired you are, the more likely you are to move in a way that's dangerous to your body. If you're a patient, this is something that's particularly relevant right now for folks suffering from COVID-19. I'll talk about this a little bit later in the slide deck, but restoring circulation for people with blood clots, preventing blood clots, restoring circulation for folks with diabetes to help prevent nerve damage, increasing the rate of wound healing for folks who have just had joint replacements measured with Dawn's great device. We started actually as a military technology. This was something that I ran as the deputy chief scientist for Lockheed Martin. This was intended to increase the endurance for soldiers, Marines, and airmen in the field so that they could be in a better fighting condition when they hopefully did not get into, but unfortunately get into firefights. And the thing is, across all 3 of the spaces that I just talked about, Pression is uniquely in a position to do that and do it better than any of the other systems that are out there offered to help increase blood flow for these folks. I just want to start by pointing out a few members of my team. So Sean Peterson is our CTO. Sean and I have been working on this for 6 years together. He continues to drive the research forward on it. We recently brought in Alan Kraus to run our finance and operations. He was at Ben Franklin for almost 20 years. I'm sure a bunch of you listening have heard of him. And like I mentioned, I came to Pression after being the deputy chief scientist at Lockheed for a number of years, running research there. And so here's the Pression Wave. This is the system that we've designed to approach this. It's a compressed air driven system. You wear a pair of sleeves on your calves, and we have a unique approach to applying compression that increases blood flow substantially and maintains it. And the way we do that is sort of a three-legged stool. It starts with our rapid compression system, which applies compression from the ankle up to the knee in less than the time it takes you to blink. Average blink is about 300 milliseconds. We do this in about 280. We couple that with a smart timing algorithm that determines the exact right moment to apply compression. We apply it between heartbeats so that we're working with your body instead of working against your body. Not only between heartbeats, there's a specific window that changes that our algorithm calculates that if you apply compression there, it's even more beneficial. And then finally, it's coupled with a novel localized sensor that we use. So we're actually detecting the arrival of the impulse of blood where we're applying compression. There's some folks that try doing this using an EKG, but there's a pulse wave delay before the blood actually arrives where we're applying compression. This slide is out of date by 24 hours. We just received notice yesterday that we were awarded our patent on this. So that's been wonderful. And the results we see happen in just 5 minutes. I'm not going to talk through all the things on this slide. I bring it up only to show that our system, as I mentioned, is worn on your calves. We increase blood flow throughout your body, though. Because of the way that we apply compression in between heartbeats, we increase not only the venous return back up to your heart, but also the arterial delivery back out to the rest of your body. And we've measured increases in arterial flow to your brain and as far out as your fingertips. So it's really a wonderful device. We just closed out our second round of pilot studies at the end of December. We worked with 2 amazing groups of triathletes from the Philadelphia area. And to summarize the results, with using our system for 5 minutes in breaks of activity between repeated bouts of maximum power output, our athletes were able to go for 75% longer at the same power level. Only difference being they used our system. That means an athlete that was normally able to go for 5 minutes before reaching fatigue was able to go for 9. That you may say, well, maybe that's their placebo effect and it's just because, you know, they're trying to work harder. But we also take blood tests during these things. And our athletes peaked 20% lower at their metabolic costs. So we measure that in terms of lactate. Lactate is the energy source that jumps in when your body isn't able to produce enough oxygen for your muscles. And a 20% reduction means you can think of the Pression Wave as almost a hybrid battery system, helping increase the efficiency of our athletes. Here's how we think it'll be used. Picture this, the Eagles, not the Vikings. Our graphic designer thinks he's funny. But you know, this is something you could put on in between line changes. You can wear it and you're in a much better position before you go back out on the field. Our results to date here, I'm not gonna read through all of these, but we believe that because of these, there's a whole lot of other benefits to come from it. We intend to move into the medical space as well later down in our roadmap, but in light of everything that's happening with COVID-19, we're thinking about a change. 5 papers so far that I've seen have been published showing that COVID-19 patients, about 30% of them in the ICU are developing very serious blood clots. That's compared to the 5% that generally wind up in that space. And this is with blood thinners and other pharmacological options being on board. And so looking at the non-pharmacological options that are out there, there's a few systems, you may have seen these, you may have used these. These are used typically for patients who can't get out of bed. These are the so-called smart options. We've tested our system against them, and highlighted in blue here, you can see just how much more effective Pression is. On the left here, of venous outflow. So this is pushing blood out of the legs back up to the heart. But also look at the right side. This is the arterial flow. This is blood flow back in. This is reoxygenated blood. This is blood that can help you heal and help prevent those blood clots from forming. So we're looking at a potential shift in our roadmap. We're talking with the NSF, looking at their seed fund. They just released a urgent call for technologies that can help there. So that's my time. I'm Adam. That's Pression. My contact info here. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. I don't see any questions, and I just see that we're running a little bit tight on time. Congratulations on the patent that you just got awarded, and it really seems very interesting. Seems like there's tremendous opportunity both like in the professional sports arena, like you said, but also in the medical arena. So best of luck. Really very interesting technology.
Thank you so much.
Is there time for one question?
Well, quick, please, if you could do it. I just want to make sure we don't cheat Brian at the end. But yeah, one quick question.
For congestive heart failure, critical when they get pressure holds down the legs and they wear compression socks. Is that one of the applications you're focused on?
Yes, we see that as one of the areas that it's on our roadmap later on. But yes, short answer.
Okay, great. Thank you, Adam.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, we're going to move to our last presenter. Brian Garvey is CEO of Kinos Medical, and Brian is a serial entrepreneur, and this is his third medical device company. Kinos was started to license a patent out of Drexel University, his alma mater, and I believe he just completed his 510K submission. And Brian, we'll kick it over to you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and a special thank you to the PACT team. Also, as a member of the Mentor Connect, it is extremely helpful to be a part of these series and be exposed to the great technologies, the great leaders, and the great mentors that are associated with the Philadelphia area, particularly medical device development. And it's been a great pleasure to work with a lot of you, and look forward to getting to know others in the near future. I will be quick. I know that we're up against it. So, Kinos Medical was started with the idea that not just by creating better anatomic implants will we be able to improve surgical outcomes, but rather looking at surgery in a holistic approach and trying to understand why surgeons today are using two-dimensional x-rays for their surgical planning when we have engineers that can build bridges and other great structures and do unbelievable simulations with their computer technology. But then again, surgeons are really looking at 2D x-rays and a lot of times planning in the operating room. So we believe there are three very specific platforms that allow for surgery to enter, orthopedic surgery to enter the 21st century. And that starts with precise surgical planning, that's surgeon facing. I'll explain that process a little bit later. It dovetails into the use of anatomic implants that are designed for the specific characterizations and biomechanics of each joint, and then looking at personalized solutions which allow for the creation of 3D printed surgical guides for each specific patient's plan, and also custom implants that accommodate different anatomy, pathophysiology, and other considerations. And by incorporating all of these components into a hardware, software focused solution, we are also able to collect data that allows us to improve both our precision planning, our diagnostic capabilities, the implant development, and then future implant and software developments. And so the ankle market is what we focused on first because of the technology that we're licensing out of Drexel. Everyone knows someone who has had a hip or knee replacement. Ankle replacements are not as common, although they are significantly on the rise and expected to outpace ankle fusions, which is the current market leader or the current standard of care within the next couple years. And this is due primarily to an improvement in technology, but also a significant patient demand not to have their ankle fused and to be more active later in life. Unfortunately, the current options for ankle replacement do not compare favorably to hip and knee replacements. The failure rates are 3 times as higher, and that leads to a decrease in the overall patient candidacy population. And even the market leader in our area is not immune to some of these high failure rates. And we believe that's very specific to the way that these implants have been designed. They're based on research that dates back to the late 1950s and early 1960s. research that was done without even the use of x-rays to quantify the biomechanics of the ankle joint. Our Chief Technology Officer, Soren Siegler, who is a professor of mechanical engineering at Drexel, had been researching the ankle joint and its morphology in relation to kinematics, the biomechanics of the joint, for several years, and in 2013 published a seminal paper that debunked the original beliefs of how the ankle joint functioned with a fixed axis of rotation. And from that, we've developed our anatomic saddle, which allows us to provide range of motion in all three anatomic planes, which mimics the ankle joint in its natural usage during walking. Unlike the fixed axis of rotation, we can accommodate for all three anatomic motions of the ankle joint. And that allows us to significantly reduce the stress at the bearing implant interface during walking, and even more so when walking on uneven ground, pivoting, walking up and down stairs, side hill, etc., the things that we actually encounter in daily life. And then moreover, we're able to show, in comparison to the market leader, that we have nearly 2 times the fixation strength of the implant to bone interface in relation to mitigating both shear and moment forces. And that's significant because we're seeing a lot of implants fail as a result of loosening at that bone implant interface. So we're able to accommodate the concerns and improve the wear properties and characteristics of the joint as a relation to our improved kinematics of the implant, and we're able to improve the fixation as a result of the design and also through the improved kinematics. Our team includes some of the brightest minds in the orthopedic foot and ankle world, a number of individuals, surgeons that are in private practice, as well as those that are associated with some of the leading teaching institutions and foot and ankle fellowship programs in the US. And we have a number of people that have started and exited successful orthopedic companies, particularly in the extremity and spine space. Our surgeon-facing orthopedic planning software ultimately will have an online platform dashboard that a surgeon can log into. It connects with the PACT'S system. It allows a surgeon to access the CT scan. Within 60 seconds, they can make a few clicks to determine certain morphological points on the bone. From there, they can adjust and correct any deformity that they may need to. The implant size is suggested to them. They can modify that implant positioning, and then ultimately we can provide a patient-specific surgical guide from that process. We have several aspects relating to 3D printing, allowing us to create implants for a younger patient population, which allows us to reduce the pain and suffering and the immobility of that younger population. Several things related to functional tracking and allowing us to capture that kinematic data both pre and post surgery. We will have an initial market launch in the US in the third quarter of this year, barring the removal of the restriction for elective surgery. We're going to raise a $1 million Series A. We've raised a little under $2 million to date. That will allow us to get into positive cash flow and growth through 2021. And I appreciate your time. We turn it over to any questions.
We are unfortunately running up against our time limit here, so I think we're going to skip the questions. I'd like to thank you. Congratulations, by the way. Best of luck. It looks like you're heading towards a launch later this year. And I'd like to thank all 3 of our presenters, Dawn, Adam, and Brian. For those of you out there that may want to connect with them, offer some insight, support, some ideas for Dawn for her recruiting efforts, please email PAC and they will help you, the PACT organization, they will help you with making that connection. And so with that, Dean Miller, I'm going to turn the program back over to you, and thank you everyone for the time this morning.
Terrific, Mike. Thank you so much. And again, thanks to RSM for your support. Agreed, Dawn, Adam, Brian, you did a fantastic job. And as a reminder, again, all 3 are mentees within the Mentor Connect program. Ben Franklin is a great partner of PACT'S and a partner in the Mentor Connect program. Tony Green's participating this morning, and they're also obviously very focused in the medtech space. We also have a number of other investors participating here this morning, just to call out, including Dreamit, 1315 Capital, Patch Biofund, BioAdvance, and a number of angel investors. And again, if you're interested in connecting with any of these companies, please email PACT, and we will certainly get you connected. And you can email Danielle Pinto at dpinto@philadelphiapact.com. If you're an entrepreneur and you're participating and you're curious about the Mentor Connect program, please reach out to Jen Cohen at jcohen, C-O-H-E-N, at philadelphiapact.com for more information. Brian shared that he came out of Drexel. Drexel, again, another terrific partner of ours and supporter on the medtech side that I wanted to call out. In addition to Fox Rothschild, they're not moderating this morning, but Michael Harrington is participating. He's a PAC board member. They're obviously a significant supporter of entrepreneurs in this region, including many medtech entrepreneurs, and want to thank Michael and Fox Rothschild.